Hey guys, I'm Josh Oakes from SafeSmartSocial.com, and I'm so honored to have two awesome experts here today. And we're talking about something really interesting, and we're going to keep it positive, but perhaps you've heard, and if you haven't, Harvard came out with some interesting news. They have rescinded acceptance opportunities from at least 10 students for obscene memes. Stuff that they did quietly in their own time has changed their future drastically for their family. Now I have two experts here. First, I have Mandy Stangeland from Wise Owl College Consulting, and I have Casey Rowley from Beverly Hills High School, a college counselor. And both Mandy and Casey are here to comment on this. So just a quick background, both of you, welcome to the live presentation. You both have read this, and anybody that hasn't, we're going to comment on Facebook or Google or wherever you're reading this at. We're going to comment on this. It's pretty scary. Essentially, students were accepted and they were going to go in the fall, which you can imagine could change a family's life forever. If your student is accepted to Harvard, that's a dream. But some stuff that they were doing in a private group was very obscene, and it was discovered, somebody reported it, and it was discovered by the college. So let's start with Mandy. Let's start with you first. What's something positive students can do to make sure this never happens to their family?
Yeah, so I think the real key takeaway from this is that colleges are looking. I think that's a message that not enough people are familiar with yet. Colleges are looking, employers are looking at your social media, they're Googling you. So we want to give them something positive to see. And clearly this is an example of somebody putting something very negative out there, and it was seen and there were consequences. But the same thing can happen on the positive side, where you have students who are doing really remarkable things and then using their social media to highlight those things. And then college admissions counselors and advisors, they see that as a positive because they're trying to recruit students who are going to be positive reflections of their brand, their campus, their educational opportunities. They want positive alumni representing them in the future. So I think more than anything, we need to remember that they are looking, and this is an opportunity to give them something really positive to highlight, and remember also to be careful of anything negative that you put on social media.
Essentially what you're saying is you're going to get discovered. Why not just get discovered in a good way? So, hey, thank you so much for that. Casey, over to you. What is your key takeaway from this, and what would you tell families and especially students?
I think to echo Mandy's statements, colleges are paying attention. And I think what's really interesting is that there's some websites and some organizations that are helping students do this earlier. So for example, raise.me, it's a scholarship website where students can go on as early as 9th grade, and they can post online publicly the positive things that they're doing. And it's linked directly with colleges. And if they end up attending those institutions, they can get that scholarship Monday while going to that college. So I think that other private organizations are catching on to this as well and helping students highlight and shine online. I think there's also a bigger conversation where there's a lot of lead up to the actual application and acceptance. And then once a student gets accepted, it's kind of like home free and senioritis kicks in. And I think the point here is that we're not looking to get students accepted. We're looking to get students connected with with a university that shares the same values, interest, characteristics, and attributes of you as a person. And it's not just about the college acceptance. It's about continuing on through your internship, through your career, and who you want to showcase as a person and not just as a college acceptance.
Yeah, very wise. You bring up a good point. And I've heard from you and from a lot of other people that as soon as a student gets accepted, they'll ask, do I really need to go to class? I mean, come on, I'm a senior, I've got senioritis. Yeah. And Casey, what would you tell that student that, do I really need to go to class? I got accepted, or things are getting easier. Do I need to finish? And what would you tell them?
Yeah. And, we often joke about this in the beginning of senior year that we tell them about this disease, senioritis, and the common cure can be things like going to class and turning in assignments and, just not doing things like what we're seeing in this Harvard article. And they laugh and they joke, but then year after year, we see stories like this online. And I have student after student coming into my office, an otherwise A, B student all of a sudden getting concerned about a C, possibly a D, and what's the minimum GPA. And I think the bigger conversation is that, and again, I mentioned this earlier, but it's not about this one piece of paper. This one piece of paper of your acceptance isn't going to define your success for the rest of your life. That acceptance is an entrance, it's an entry point into an institution that hopefully mirrors your values and interests, and is a platform for you to move on in a positive and successful way. So it doesn't just stop. So I remind students of these stories. So, that is a little bit for them to remember that colleges are paying attention, and they can and they will rescind that offer. And until you're there, and even while you're on that college campus, you should portray what you day in, day out, regardless of what stage you're at within that process.
Yeah, absolutely. Mandy, give us some practical and tactical tips that you have in this situation.
So I think most importantly, we need to see this as an opportunity to educate. And as parents and counselors, there's a few things that we can do. One is to have these conversations with these students regularly, have it be part of their education, part of the curriculum, expose them to this stuff more, and then role model that as parents and educators, saying, we are part of this group, or we use these tools, and show students how they can be used positively just day to day. Every major company, most organizations of all sizes are using social media to some extent. So we want to teach young people how to use it as a consumer, how to use it when you're using it in your day-to-day life, and not just using it for the tools that they are for marketing and things like that. But there's also this etiquette and appropriateness that when you're on the internet, you're presenting something to the whole world. And that doesn't mean that you need to agree with the whole world, or that the whole world needs to, agree with you and think that you're perfect. It's just being able to get out there and go, all right, this information, this content belongs here, and then this information and this content doesn't. And how students know that is by seeing role models, seeing people do this, and then hearing about the positives of social media in the classroom and in their day-to-day lives, going, okay, yeah, you can use this stuff. Just like these kids got their acceptances rescinded, they also could very well have used this as an opportunity to showcase and highlight who they are prior to admissions. When students are getting ready to send in their applications, a lot of schools are saying that if you link your social media into your application, many schools will take a look at that.
I love that.
We know from the Kaplan survey a few years ago that at least 30%, and this number is rising, 30% of college admissions offices are saying that they look at social media, and at least half of those say that they see something positive that gives them a better impression of the student. And these are things like using your Facebook account to highlight, maybe you're an athlete, and so you put a lot of your sporting events, exactly, like highlight reels, and okay, if you're in a sporting event every weekend, snap some photos and put it up there, and use some of Josh's tips. Stay light, bright, and polite. Thank the people that you're with. Those are the kinds of things that colleges like to see. And then anything that shows your uniqueness. You're interested in robotics, build a YouTube channel. If you're interested in poetry and writing, write a blog, get your content out there. And that's where I encourage students to be risky with being brave and putting your originality into the universe, but don't be risky with questioning whether or not, do we even want to go down that legal path of whether or not it's a First Amendment right and freedom of speech? Probably not when you're questioning.
A lot of people were commenting in that way. Here's the things I heard from you, Mandy. Very wise. Parents need to give great examples to kids and lead by example, and also teach and educate. And second, something I call having a purpose with the device rather than just making it a pastime. And right now what you're saying is, there's content we should put out there, but have a purpose with this. This is a great way to communicate. This is awesome. And then another thing I heard from you is be online, create cool stuff. And we're always telling students, and to all of you parents out there, social media is not something to be super afraid of, but if you don't have a purpose for it, and if it's just a pastime, you better be afraid, right? Because you're using it wrong. But if you have a purpose, and we do believe, I think everybody up here believes that your students should be a vibrant person online. When you as a family are ready for that, they should have something that's full of positivity and gratitude. If you're like me, I'm a nerd. I fix my own car. I do a lot of household repairs. And sometimes I'll put that on YouTube and I'll say, here's how I changed my headlights in my Jeep for $80 instead of $350 at the dealership. And I teach people in 7 minutes how to do it yourself. 15,000 views later, if my clients saw it, I would be really proud of that. And they'd say, hey, you're a dork. But those are the kinds of things that I think most colleges would say, wow, a well-rounded person. Who taught you how to do this? Oh, I looked at other YouTube videos. And right. So you should be online when your parents are ready, but you should have a purpose. And if you can do something great, like teach. And we're always telling somebody, don't brag about what you're doing, but rather teach others something. If you can play the piano, teach someone a simple I can't play a musical instrument at all, but I could teach somebody how to use a power drill. And that would be something helpful that college would see and go, that's kind of cool, Josh. That's a rare, unique thing that not everybody can do. So I love
how great that you're also showing that university the skills that you have, some of these soft skills that go with it, that you know how to use social media as a marketing tool, that you know how to communicate, that you know how to get online and be on a webinar. All of these things are, or even the teamwork component of it, just all these things, if there's a visual piece to that, which is what, a lot of social media is, it's visual, or the written content. That's the stuff that colleges are going to be more impressed with, that takes you above and beyond that resume or that application that they have, 40,000 applications that really all look the same. You're a 4.0 and you've got these perfect SAT scores, and you're also maybe a concert pianist, but this, yes, exactly. It separates.
And we mentioned this before, Mandy, when we were talking, but demonstrated interest. This is something that colleges are starting to really pay attention to, and something that's increasingly spilling into social media. So colleges are on Snapchat, they're on Instagram, Facebook, they send you emails, they send you videos. So they can track if you open an email, if you follow them on Facebook, if you follow them on Snapchat. So if you're a rising senior or a junior, you don't have to visit campus to show a college that you're interested in them. So if you go online and you're following their stuff and you are proud of your social media content, so you're not afraid that if they follow you back and they see it, it can not only help you, it can help you stand out, and it can also help you show the college that you're a really good fit for them, that you mirror their values. And it's something that, as you mentioned, when there's so many applications throughout the system, it can be kind of hard. Colleges want to know if you're going to come. If we offer you an acceptance, are you going to come accept us back? And not a lot of students see it that way, but demonstrated interest, that can be a positive way to use social media to help your applications in the future.
As an employer, I'd love to say something cool about somebody that's in our office. Typically, one of our employees, we never ask them to do this, but she does something. When I post something really cool, she will share it on her Facebook page immediately. And she'll say, I had a great day at the office today, and she's full of gratitude and positive. I would never ask that of her, but it's that demonstrated interest, as you said, Casey, is so cool. I always look at her and go, you didn't have to do that. She goes, no, I actually like being here, and I'm going to share something. Why not share some of your stuff, Josh? So I love that. If a college, and it probably doesn't hurt if a college has something neat going on or one of the classes, it probably doesn't hurt to interact with it in a positive way, knowing that you're going to get caught doing that, right?
Yeah. Yes. So think about that from a high school, from the college's perspective, when they see a high school student highlighting the things that they're doing in school each day, or even in their place of work. And hey, had a great doing this, and hung out with these people. Really proud to be whatever their mascot is. A college might see that and go, "Wow, that person is full of pride, full of school pride, and they're just really bright and happy and enjoy where they are. They like being where they are." That's the kind of person that we want here, because they're going to show that same kind of pride here.
Yeah, and they're looking for that. They're looking to see what type of student, what type of dorm roommate will you be, what type of student will you be on our campus, and those are hints. Those are things that will get them to be confident in accepting you.
Now, you had somebody from Stanford, Jesse, saying, wow, I would never have thought that they're live on Facebook. Never have thought that they would take away offers over online activity. Crazy. And let's talk about something that's very important. A lot of students used to say to me as I would speak to them, hey, I don't want to be fake online. And we talked at our digital citizenship conference, which you both were there. Mandy, you spoke, and Casey, you attended. That there's a difference between being casual and authentic. And one being authentic, meaning you're being who you are, talking about things you like, and then another one being casual. And I want to tie that in with complaining online or making fun or having a vibrant self. A lot of students will go and complain online, and we tell them often, and I want to hear from both of you. Everybody's going to have a bad day. But we tell them, hey, if you have a bad day and you want to vent, you should vent to somebody, but consider venting instead via text, over coffee with a best friend, call a friend, tell your parents, this is the person I really don't like. I don't like them, and tell them, let it out. But do you vent on social media? I'd love to hear it from both of you. What do you tell students about where to vent and how to be your vibrant self?
It's interesting. I think we remind students, if you post this, would you feel comfortable printing out? If we printed out your social media page right now and handed it to the college that you're applying to tomorrow, how would you feel? Would you? And
what do they say to that? Does that resonate with them?
It does, because most of the time you get this smirk on their face where they're kind of like, oh, shoot, like I'm not going, like I don't feel comfortable with what's on there right now.
Please don't do that.
But I think it's also teaching our kids coping skills, healthy coping skills. We're faced with different opinions daily. There was an article about a teen who went off on his professor, and it was recorded and it was posted online. And so your actions and your day-to-day actions and who you represent as a person should be something that you're proud of. And sure, we're going to get upset. But again, and Mandy mentioned this before, but modeling this behavior. So you're not going to like everyone that you work with. But there's healthy ways to address that and unhealthy ways to address that. And so I think it's also modeling behavior, and it's teaching kids healthier coping mechanisms. So chatting with a friend instead of posting it online, or writing it out on a piece of paper and thinking, if this were posted, would I feel comfortable with this in a day? Let it sit for a day, go back to it and see how it sinks in.
Yeah.
I have a couple of examples, a couple of case studies to sort of answer this question with. One being that in 2014, there was an example of a young lady who, her name was Claudia, and she had posted on her Twitter feed that she was trying to decide between Lehigh University and Lafayette. And she posted on her Twitter, I want these two schools to convince me why I should go to them and not the other school. And it was playful, and it was done in a tactful way. One of the schools responded heavily. They got their admissions page to start responding on Twitter. Then they got the chair of the journalism department, which is what she was interested in, to start responding and answering her questions. Her questions were very thoughtful, simple. Just tell me more about your department. And basically there was an entire thread of students, staff, alumni, all trying to convince her to go to the one university. And ultimately that's where she ended up going. But it was a great way for her to start a relationship, start a conversation with those people, the staff, the faculty, and everyone there. So when she walked in the door, she not only had this great acceptance, right, of people who said, yeah, we want to talk to you, but it was just a no-brainer. They saw her skills. They saw that she was asking questions on Twitter. They even commented on that. Hey, you're using Twitter to do this research. You clearly belong in our journalism department.
Nice.
We're state of the art, 21st century. And then on the flip side of that, there's another example of a young lady who, instead of putting something positive out there, said, when is this university going to respond to me already? And said the name of the university. And the university eventually did respond and said, thank you for your patience. And then she was not accepted to that university. So you really also don't want to be complaining about waiting for acceptances and really complaining about school, teachers, anything like that on your social media if you plan on applying to another school where there are more teachers. You don't want to badmouth the people that you come into contact with because that's
not just for college. It's we have students who are looking for internships and beyond that. So it's not, and I think that's the thing. And we have so many conversations that start with, will this look good for college? Will this look good for college? And it's, you take a step back, and again, it's the success it's your work ethic, those soft skills, your character. It's all this, it all builds and it all leads. So it's not just this college acceptance. It's internships, it's jobs, it's college, it's beyond.
Yeah.
right? It's not just, does this make me look good to colleges?
Yeah.
Does this make me look good? Does this highlight who I am?
Does this make me, perfect.
Just period.
Exactly. Is this who I am? And it's so true. And one of the secrets that we tell a lot of parents is getting into college. There's an old joke that getting married isn't the finish line. The wedding day isn't the finish line. It's a long marriage, a healthy and successful marriage after that. Mm-hmm. And the same thing with college too. It's really getting that dream job. And I tell parents at the beginning and the end of our speeches, my secret ambition for you that I want to give away right now is that your kid finds a great career and is an employable, awesome employee that goes up in the ladder at a big company. College is just a stepping stone, and there's the right college or no college could be the right fit for your kids, right? It could be anything. You could learn on YouTube like I do. I buy Amazon books and learn on YouTube. But the goal is that we get them a great career. College is a stepping stone for that. Okay, one more thing that I've heard, making fun of other people, which a lot of people do online, and they think it's fine. I have the right to make fun of people online. It's my free speech. We're telling students a lot, and I want to hear from both of you. It's okay to make fun of anyone as long as it's only yourself. Self-deprecating humor, colleges are loving when you're making fun of yourself, calling yourself a dork, a nerd, whatever, within reason. But as soon as you make fun of other people, where does it go, and how does that look? Can one of you comment on that as well?
Casey, you want to go ahead?
Yeah, I mean, I think it just kind of goes back to that simple statement. Mandy, what did you say? Is it good? Is it right? Is this a reflection of who I want to be? Am I the type of person who's known for knocking others down, or am I the type of person who's known for building others up? Again, you're not going to agree with everyone's opinions, and that's okay. But there's a way to show your standpoint that's appropriate. And if you feel differently about a person's opinion, or then there's you can join a club and you can be an advocate in a positive and an appropriate setting. And then it's just that saying, if you don't have anything nice to say, then don't say anything at all. Just and don't post it, because it's there forever. So that's your character. So is that the type of person that you want to portray? Yeah.
Hey, Mandy, I want to direct this one to you just a little bit. How would you tell students to search for themselves online? Because do you have any way, when you're working with students in your consulting business, to tell students to look at their online footprint the way a college would? Do you have any techniques there?
Well, definitely Google yourself. That's the number one way that colleges, employers, everybody's looking up a person. So starting with that. And I think you have some really great techniques in your books and on your website for Googling yourself. So I definitely encourage people to check those out. And then just remembering too, that to add on to what Casey was saying, humor and sarcasm don't translate well online all the time. It doesn't always come off. Maybe your close friends know when you're being funny, but a total stranger might not pick that up. And so remembering that nothing online is in fact private. So even conversations that look funny or sound funny to you and a friend might not translate that well to someone else. So trying to remember that and keep things as true as possible when you post them online, so that it comes off, so that what it reads is what you meant. And that's, I think, another technique to try to avoid too much sarcasm online, unless it's part of your brand. I mean, students are figuring this stuff out. And this is a time to explore and learn in high school and in early college years. So I think proper education and understanding where the limits are, and then exploring them in your own context later after you've had a lot of that education, a lot of that practice, is a more appropriate time to start engaging in things that may be more serious, where you start to disagree. And then you have more skills and more understanding of how to have those conversations in a classroom setting. You'll learn how to debate and how to cite sources and really support your own opinion.
Yeah.
And those things can also be used when you're talking online, but you have to know when to quit, because you're not going to convince people of new things. But like we mentioned this in the digital citizenship conference, that sometimes you need to just take a step back and say, you know what, I appreciate your opinion, but I need to look more into that. That doesn't make sense to me. I want to learn more about it. So thank you for bringing that to my attention. But there's really no reason to engage and make fun of and start calling names. It makes you look bad, is what it does.
Yeah, exactly. There's an old phrase in business. Do you want to be rich or do you want to be right? And I think it works on the web too. Do you want to get into that dream school, or are you set on, I have to tell people? By the way, if you look at the link, which we'll post in the live Facebook, there are hundreds of comments where people are just wanting to tell the world what they know and how bad it is. And it took me, and both of you read some of the comments too, I'm sure. It took me 15 minutes just to read the comments. Like, oh my gosh, it's exhausting. But it's a fascinating psychological discovery when you see how people behave online. One more thing, for those of you that are watching, that your kids are, or you're an adult, this is just as adult friendly, meaning we have books, and I don't have them right here. Okay, so we've got a book called Light, Bright, and Polite. And this is not a plug because I don't make any money off these. We just wrote them to help people. But Light, Bright, and Polite for teens, we have a spin-off for professionals. It just teaches you how to post in a way that's full of positivity and gratitude. I'm not telling you this to plug. I'm saying just as applicable if you're an employer. Some very big brands are in this saying, hey, we're in the real estate business or whatever. We're going to Google you. So you adults, it's not just about, I need to model for my kids. It's also, our careers are on the line. You could lose a dream client, all this different stuff. We have a new social media policy webinar for big companies. There is no line where, if you're 8 to 18, this is for you. No, if you are 65, you could get in very big trouble for not knowing how to use Twitter and saying something negative online. We all have a boss, an employer, a client, a revenue stream. So we need to be really, really careful there.
And I want to leave a statistic real quick for you. So we know that about 30% of college admissions people are looking at social media. Just saw another statistic recently that career recruiters are about 93% of recruiters are Googling the potential employees. So it's not just for college students. It's everybody. If you're looking for
work. It would be dumb
work,
not to. Since it's free, it would be really bad on an employer standpoint to not search. Okay, Casey, I want to leave you with the last thought, final word.
Final word. Okay. I think that this is bigger, much bigger than college admissions. I think what we're talking about here is are you proud of yourself online with your online presence? There are so many different spaces for you to showcase who you are in a positive way. And I think that once we understand that we can use it, it can be incredibly powerful. And these stories are meant to remind us that very easily the things that we worked so hard can be taken away. But to the flip side of that, you can showcase yourself and present a version of yourself that you're incredibly proud of, that can get the attention of colleges and employers, and be something that you're proud of with your friends and your family and your immediate circle. So I think it's just a bigger conversation, and I think it's a gentle reminder, not so gentle to them on the article, but a gentle reminder for everyone to be positive online.
That's great. Mandy, one final thought from you.
Oh gosh. So yes, this is about education, really. This is about needing to educate people on digital citizenship. And yes, that's maybe a fancy word, but it's not going anywhere. The internet's here, social media is here. And if we're going to be all participating in this online world, there needs to be more education from parents, from educators, from professionals, teaching people being role models, teaching people what we want to see online and how it can positively affect your life, so that we stop seeing so many of these negative stories of people who maybe just simply didn't know what they were doing.
Yeah. Hey, thank you to both of you. You guys are awesome. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you.
For those of you that are still watching, and you're live on Facebook, you're on YouTube, we have more resources for free for you at safesmartsocial.com. You can click one of the links above or below here. We've got free webinars that teach you whether your kids are 8 to 18 years old, how to be safe, or if they are 14 to 18, how to be smart online and really build out that resume. Yes, Google is your new resume, whether you like it or not, how to use Instagram in a positive way. Get your kids on Facebook, even if you think, I never want to use it. That is a big part of changing your Google results, which are your resume. And then we also have an educator and digital citizenship webinar that teaches you a different way of talking to parents about keeping them smart and safe online, changing that paradigm. Pumped. We also have something new called Parent University, which for just a few dollars a month, you learn tutorials of the best apps. On Tuesday, 1 week from today, exactly 1 week from this hour, I'm teaching a 15-minute tutorial on Snapchat. Everything you didn't want to know, but that your kids do know about Snapchat. If you're too embarrassed to ask your kids, It's a few bucks a month, and we teach you Snapchat, Instagram, and really all of the features in 15 minutes so that when you do discover your kids on it and you do use it with them, which we do want you to use these apps with your kids if they're on it, you understand everything from start to finish. It's called Parent University, and I'll link to that in the show notes as well. Thank you to both of you, and thanks to everybody that's been watching. As always, I want you to encourage you, no matter what you're doing online, make sure you keep it light, bright, and polite. I'll talk to you guys all soon. Have a great day. Take care.
Thanks, Josh.
Thanks.
Thank you to both of you.